Hi, how's everyone out there doing? This is Amy Hamilton, and I am here with the amazing and marvelous Mel Kelly. He is author of Born in Ireland, Made in Germany, and Top Tips for Dating Disasters in Germany, which is why we have this show. Because I explained to him, Mel, dating disasters are not limited to Germany or Ireland or you. Dating disasters happen everywhere. So, welcome, Mel.
Thank you so much for having me or for joining me here. Anyway, this is Amy, the project manager, consummate communicator, and has tried to use those project management principles in her dating life. And all I can say is I have better advice to give. I am the author of the world's bestseller book, which is Top Tips for Dating Disasters in Germany. But you can take this out, Top Tips for Dating Disasters anywhere in the world. My bad advice is good everywhere.
So, Mal, we are on episode 13. So,
Wow.
we made it through our first quarter, going on
Wow.
the second
Wow.
quarter. Super
Amazing.
excited. And we're talking about the worst dating advice ever. I
Yes.
was talking to one of our fans, and he said the worst advice is when people say, be yourself. What are your thoughts on that? Be yourself.
Oh, come on. Be yourself is the best advice you could possibly get. Come on. I mean, this is what your mother says, your grandmother says, it's what everybody says. Be yourself.
But your family has to love you, right? I mean, isn't that kind of how it works? Your grandmother, like, she doesn't, like, it's not like she's going to be like, Mel, don't be yourself, Mel. Try to be more like your brother. Oh yeah, wait. I think my grandmother did say that to me.
I have a lot of brothers. I have a lot of brothers. Which one? Pick a big one. So yeah, so be yourself. And I mean, it sounds so good. It sounds so seductive. It sounds so right. And all I can say is my best advice is try it out, guys. Try it out, girls. It is fantastic advice. When you're on that first date, be yourself. Do your burp, do your fart, do what you do as you do normally because your new date will appreciate you for being honest and being yourself and being true to yourself. That's what it's all about. Be yourself.
Um, Mel, I don't even know what to say to that. You're
No,
saying just
if you
let
drink
it
too much,
fly. Just be
if you
Shrek.
drink too
Be
much,
Shrek on the date.
if you drink too much, well, drink too much on your first date because your first date partner, they will appreciate you being honest with them and upfront. If you're negative and bitter about life, share that with them. They will love it. They will love you for being yourself.
Just uh
And
Mel, I
and
mean,
and
I know
and,
you've
and
given some bad advice in
And
the
for
past,
women, I
but
would say this thing of putting on makeup for your first date, disaster. Don't be doing that. Just be yourself. Turn up in your sloppy pajama bottoms, your tracksuit bottoms. What do you wear at home when you're hanging out with the girls? You're drinking a bottle of wine, eating a box of chocolates, watching your Sex in the City, or whatever it might be. Wear the same clothes when you're out on that first date, and the guy will appreciate you for being yourself and being true to yourself.
okay, we're just gonna dissect this a little bit into things that you should not do on a first date. And I just want to say, of all the bad advice you've given, this might be the worst
Thank
of
you.
the
Thank you.
worst bad
Thank you.
advice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Uh, but I do appreciate the concept behind being yourself. That you should be the authentic you that's in you. I've known you. I don't know, Mel. How long have we known each other?
Oh, it's too long. Too long.
So the first time I met you,
10 plus
I
years.
thought you were like super sweet and profound because you gave this speech and it was like super moving. And I was like, oh my God, that just like touched my soul. And then I realized like I met you, like really got to know you. I was like, and you're like, oh, it's all bollocks. I just, I know it resonates with people in the
What did you
audience. And I
say,
was like,
Amy? Was that a curse word?
is that a curse word in British?
That is a curse. That's not a curse word in the US, is it
And
not?
no, it's not a it's not an international curse word. We're good. Like here, we can
Ah,
say all the British curse words or all the German curse words, and they don't count because they're like
oh,
in
they
another
don't count. Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah. So when we like hear this, we're like, oh,
No, that's it.
this guy's so sweet and he's so sincere. But then you realize like that's like not even the case. I think there's a point of like you should be like somewhat true to yourself, but I don't think you should be let it all hang out there.
Well, it depends about how much you want to let it all hang out there. I mean, this is the thing, as I say in the book, I cover this. I mean, when I was being true to myself in Germany on several of my first dates here in Germany, and it just worked a charm. When they ordered their one glass of wine, and I ordered my five beers. They just loved that here. I was being true to myself in the most fantastic way, guaranteed way to make sure that you didn't get a second date.
Yeah, I've had a lot of first dates.
Why? Because the guys were being true to themselves.
Sometimes, like you mentioned the negativity thing, I did have a coffee date, and the person, they were sort of like, if I was like, "Oh, look how nice and sunny." "Oh, it's humid," you know? "Oh, look at how nice and quaint this coffee house is." "Yes, it's this independent place and nothing standardized." And I'm just like, "Oh gosh, like this is never," like if I was like, it reminded me of Jane Austen when she's like, "If I say it, I want it to be sunny, he says he wants it to rain," you know? And I was just like this isn't gonna happen.
So what you're saying is you can't be too negative on the first date. It's not going
Yeah.
to help. You can be
And if
negative.
that's your true self, maybe you need something more than a date. Like,
Of course, yes, American therapist. We in Ireland we would just say a pub. In Germany
but
they say go get a dog. You know that'll help you solve your problems. You know.
that's true
Uh,
though. My dog is like the key to all problems. And
yes, the
so
solution. So being true to yourself. So I mean, the thing is, yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, okay, what happens? I mean, I cover this. Is what happens if you go on a date with a guy and he drinks too much on the first date? I mean, how's that for you? I mean, he's being true to himself. That's the way he
So
drinks with the boys. That's the way he drinks with the boys, probably, and he's drinking with the boys with you. I mean, he's being himself.
I think that there's a best foot forward point in a first date, especially, and then I think as the relationship goes on, you can be more candid with each other. But I do think, especially on that first date, and like you said, keep it short. The first impressions and stuff is important, and you're just trying to get this to the second date. And there's a point of like, don't like show up with a headphone in and have somebody else like giving you lines, right? Like they always show that in the romantic comedies, like where like he actually met the other person through like a closed door, and now they're gonna like, and she's feeding him these lines.
Yeah, yeah. So then, I mean, get it down to brass taxes. So when can you get drunk in front of your new date? Not the first date, is what you're saying. Can you
Well, I
get
think
drunk in the second? Can you get drunk in the second date or third date? I mean,
I think
when
it just
can
all
you?
depends on where the relationship goes, Mel. I mean, it's not like I don't want to get drunk sometimes. I mean,
So let's say if you were on a first date with a guy, you would try not to get drunk, even though it's
I
something you would occasionally might do, but it's not what you would do on a
well, I'm
first
gonna
date.
take it a different way. So this goes back into the whole conversation we had on sober dating. That's just a terrible thing. And this date I had wanted me to meet him in a place where I drove, and then he said, "Oh, would you like a glass of wine?" And I said, "No, I don't like to drink and drive." And he's like, "Oh, so you never drink and drive?" And I'm like, "I didn't say never, but like I might have a glass of wine if I'm gonna like have dinner and then like be at a concert. But if I'm gonna be there for like an hour, then I'm not gonna just like have a glass of wine because I know like my own tolerance."
Okay.
So this didn't go over so well. And then so like now I'm like sober on this
Yeah.
date. So I would normally have a glass of wine, but I won't have a glass of wine and drive, right? So now I think it's a lot
And because
better.
he's making an issue of this, so this is really he's making an issue of you not drinking and driving.
Right. And so it made it very awkward and uncomfortable because it was like, like I felt judged. And it's like if I'm in the comfort of my own home, I'm gonna have a glass of wine, but I don't have to drive anywhere and risk other people's lives too. Because if I
But
drink and drive, it's not
you
just my
felt
life; it's
judged.
everyone on the highway.
You felt judged on a date, but that's what we all do on dates. We're judging each other.
No, I think that's true. That's definitely true. And so, but my thing is, I felt negatively judged, and obviously, this did not create the dynamic of a second date.
Okay, I see. So that was you being yourself, him being himself, and That didn't help.
realizing our two selves would not be like a good, like, no.
Okay. So he was being too honest and you were being too whatever. So anyway, but yeah, so being yourself.
But had they listened to your advice, Mal, and had we met someplace like where we didn't have to drive,
Okay.
then I would have totally had a glass of wine and it could have been much better.
There you go, so this is it. So, but then the question is, when can you really be yourself? I mean, this is the point. Like, can you burp on a first date? I mean, is that a deal breaker? I mean, like, the point being is all guys burp, right? Now, we don't necessarily have to burp all the time, but it is part of who we are. We burp, right? But are we not allowed to burp on a first date? But if we're not allowed to burp on the first date, can we burp on the second date? When are we allowed to burp?
I think we should take a survey. We're going to do a survey for the show, and we're going to put up a poll, and we're going to find out at what point are you allowed to burp in front of the second date? Is it once you've decided that, like, you're in a relationship and you've changed your social media, which, Mal, our time is going by quick, and we should mention our next show is going to be about introducing people to the family. We're going to talk about adding to your social media. And I think that might be the appropriate time when you could burp in front of your partner, after they've met your parents and
Oh, in
after they've
front
been
of your
added to your.
parents.
Oh my gosh, not in front of your parents or your grandmother. Like, never in front of the grandmother. Like, even if you know your grandmother 100 years, you should never, ever do this in front of your grandmother. Like, no. No.
Right,
That's just
right.
never going to happen.
Right.
So our next show is going to be on meeting the parents and social media. And Mel, thank you so much for being here today and being yourself.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Amy. And we will see you all again next week.